Thank you, Vivek. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vivek. First of all, I am checking whether my screen is sharing or not. वेट मेरे स्क्रीन आ रहा है विवेक? मेरी आवाज भी आ रही है ना? Okay. Thank you so much. First of all, I am very thankful to Honorable Principal Sir, Dr. Rajesh Srivastava Sir, for giving me the opportunity as a resource person in this 1 week faculty development program. And I am also thankful to Dr. Dinesh Sakya Sir. Dinesh Sir, very thank you as you are selecting me as a resource person. And afterwards, at last, I am going to thankful to Dr. Vivek Kumar Gupta, HOD, Computer Science Department, and co-convener of this 1 week faculty development program. First of all, I am going to introduce myself. Myself, Harisankar Prasad Tunde, Assistant Professor and Head in the Department of Computer Science, UTD, Sant Gahera Guru University, Sarguja, Ambikapur. And as you all know, the 1 week faculty development program is totally based on advanced research methodology. And earlier 4 days are over, and you have learned so much regarding this advanced research methodologies. And my topic is data collection and analysis. Before switching towards this data collection and analysis, first of all, we are going to discuss regarding what is a research and what are the various steps of this particular research, so that we are going to conclude on our particular topic, data collection and analysis. First of all, what is a research? Research is nothing but it is a systematic way to gain new knowledge regarding any research problem, so that we are going to understand the research problem, and we are going to find out some research. We are going to find out some solutions regarding the research problem. Means gaining new knowledge regarding a particular topic is a research. So after this, when we are going to identify the topic of this research, we are going to identify the research problem. What is the research problem? And afterwards, we are going to review the literature of the research problem. And afterwards, setting research questions, objectives, and hypotheses, choosing the research study design, deciding on the sample design, and afterwards coming towards the topic, deciding on collecting data from the research sample. Means when you have identified the research problem and we have already lay out some hypotheses and we have already find out some objectives and questions regarding the research problem. Now the key question comes for the data collection and data analysis of the research. As you all know, research is very important nowadays. Any problem arises, problem is nearby us. We don't have to identify. Already there is a problem arises in our surroundings. We have to identify how we are concerned with that particular problem. Why? Because last 2 years we are suffering from corona, and that will nobody is going to supposed to know such type of problem is going to arise, but it is a problem, it is a major problem which is going to come across us, and we are going to find out some solutions in the form of some scientific approach. So problem arises and the researchers are having the responsibility to find out the solution for that particular problem. So now switching towards the topic, what actually is data collection, what actually is data analysis. Data collection is nothing but it is the process by which the researcher collects the information needed to answer the research problem. Once you have decided the research problem, you have to find out some solutions regarding the problem. And for that, data collection is generally having the researcher to gain knowledge regarding the particular research problem. And for data collection, there are 2 types of data: primary data and secondary data. Primary data means the data which is concerned to the direct touch of the particular problem, and secondary we are getting the data from some other sources. Later on, we are going to discuss regarding this. And what is data analysis? After collecting the data, we have to analyze the data. Analyze the data means we have to visualize in the form of some graphs. We have to visualize regarding the group of samples that is coming. So data analysis is nothing but it is a process of inspecting, cleansing means we have to filter the data which is not of our use. We have to drop that, and what is actually of our use we have to use that. So, and afterwards transforming and modeling the data with the goal of discovering useful information, informing conclusions, and supporting decision making. So this is about data analysis. Regarding this data analysis, various softwares are there. You have heard about MS Excel, you have heard about SPSS, you have heard about R, you have heard about data mining. These are some softwares which are using for the data analysis purposes of the researchers. So when we are asking ourselves what is actually a data, so the answer is data is nothing but it's a simple unit of information which is directly concerned to the research scholar, which is directly concerned to the particular problem which is identified by the researcher. As we all know, data are the set of values of qualitative or quantitative variables about one or more persons or objects. Why? Because when qualitative means that will be something which is in the form of some graphs, some pictures, some images like this. And that will not in the form of in numeric value. But quantitative means the thing which is in number. Some numerical values you have to identify, and that will be coming when we are collecting the data. Data are measured, collected, reported, analyzed, and used to create data visualizations such as graphs, tables, or images. So, as just we have discussed regarding the qualitative data and quantitative data, now we are going to discuss in detail. What is quantitative data? Quantitative data are nothing but all those data which are coming as an outcome of the particular experiments, which is in the form of some numerical values, having some numerical values. Data refers to measurable observations, quantitative data based on numbers. For example, heights are there, weights are there, durations are there, ages are there, distance of planets are there, monies are there, temperatures are there. These are some examples. And when we are going to collect this type of data, that will be in the form of some numeric values. So these are the quantitative data, and it is very useful. What are qualitative data? Qualitative data is regarding categorical view. Qualitative data is the data that can be arranged into categories based on physical traits, gender, colors, or anything that does not have a number associated with it. Means qualitative data involves more details. It tells us about why, when, and how. Means when the researcher asks why, when, and how, qualitative data is able to answer it, but quantitative data will be answered in the form of some numeric values. Examples are happiness rating. Happiness rating means a group of peoples. I have to identify which of them are happy, which of them are unhappy. So it is in the form of some group. Genders, pass or fail, eye colors, interview, categories of plants, descriptive, temperature of coffee, temperature of tea, like that. These are all examples of qualitative data. It is in the form of some groups. We have to categorize it. Afterwards, what is data collection? And why we are doing data collection when we are doing a research? It is the process by which the researcher collects the information needed to answer the research problem. The main function of this data collection is we have to answer the research problem which we are identified as a researcher. The task of data collection begins after a research problem has been identified. As soon as we have find out the research problem, our major task is to collect the data which is in term of our research concern. Means the domain we have identified, we have to collect the data. In collecting the data, the researcher must decide what things, means what are the various things which the researcher must have to know, must have to a keen knowledge regarding while collecting the data. These are which type of data the researcher is going to collect. Means there are so many types of data available surrounding us. But which data is concerned with my research problem, I have to deal with that. How to collect the data? What are the various ways through which we are going to collect the data? Means some data are useful, some data are unuseful. We have to identify which data are useful to us. Who will collect the data? This is also a major problem. Who will collect the data? The researcher, the respondent, who will be the person who is going to collect the data? Means the researcher is going to collect the data directly, or some indirect ways are available for collecting the data. This I have to answer. Fourth one is when to collect the data. What is the actual circumstances? What is the actual time to collect the data? For example, when we are performing some scientific researches, then what will be the actual time which we are going to collect the data? Means some experiment, some outcomes of the experiment is going to come, and at which particular extent we have to collect the data. Means we have to find out the results, and that results will be favorable for the research or not, that we have to identify. So these are the four questions: which, how, who, and when. When we are going to answer these keen questions regarding the research, we are getting the solution for the research problem. What is the purpose of data collection? This is major important thing. What is the purpose? Means why we are going to collect the data. The purpose of data collection is to obtain information, to keep on record, to make decisions about important issues, and to pass informations on to others. Means what is the purpose of collecting the data? Once we have identified the research problem, how we are going to get the primary data from the sources? Means what are the various sources or various resources which are directly concerned with my research problem, and how we are going to collect the data, and I have to identify whether the data is concerned with my particular research problem or not. So this is the basic purpose regarding data collection. So methods of data collection, as just we have discussed, there are two essential ways through which we are going to collect the data. One is the primary data, and second one is the secondary data. Very important aspects of this particular data. What is primary data? So we have answered. Primary data are those data which are collected for the first time and are original in character. Means when we have identified the research problem, and with that particular research problem, what are the various data, or what are the various uh, persons or objects or some another indirect things are there, but which are directly concerned, and the first time they have to be collected. So this is the primary data, means collected for the first time, and that will be original in character. Means when we are doing some scientific research or some social research or some team research, then at that particular time, what will be the original result that is coming from the particular experiments, or particular coming from the particular plants or something like that. Means what are the results that is coming from the objects? You have to identify originally, and you have to measure them. What are secondary data? Secondary data are nothing but these are those data which have already been collected by someone else. For example, when we are reviewing the particular literature, then already some have done the particular research on a particular topic, and we are getting some information from that research papers. So that will be the secondary data, means the data which is coming from some research journals or magazines, or already some research persons, they have tabulated some data in the table form, or they are preparing some research in the form of some graph as a result. So we are going to consider data from that particular sources. So those are secondary data which are coming indirectly to us, but they are useful for my research problem. So primary data and secondary data, these are two various ways through which we are going to collect our data. So let us have some points of differences between this primary data and secondary data. Primary data are real-time data, but secondary data are past data. Means somebody has already worked on the particular data, so that will be as considered as past data. Primary data, sure about the sources, means we are going to deal directly with the sources from which the data is being coming to us. But secondary data, they are not sure about the sources. Why? Because they are already uh, tabulated by some other person. Primary data can answer research questions. Directly they can answer the research questions. When we are getting some results, how much extent the particular experiment is successful. This is the research, means we are getting the answer directly for the research problem. But secondary data, refining the research problem. We are going to refine the research problem, but not getting the answer directly. Primary data are costly and takes much time, but secondary data are cheaper and it takes very much time. Primary data can avoid bias, secondary data cannot be ruled out. Primary data are more flexible and secondary data are less flexible. So what are the methods of collecting primary data? This earlier you have already learned regarding this, by because 4 days already over now. and today is the fifth day. The primary data may be collected through various ways, and those ways are: first one is observation. When you are performing any research, when you are performing any research for a research problem, then you have to have a keen observation regarding the outcomes, regarding the results which is being carried out in your environment or your surrounding. Second one is the survey. You have to keep a keen knowledge regarding the surveys. Why? Because how much people are going to respond you, how much people are not responding you. Means if any particular film is being produced by a producer and it will be it will be displayed on the theater, then what happens? How much people are going to watch them? How are getting entertained with the particular film? Which type of songs are popularized in that particular film? So we have to survey it all. Third one is the interview. Interview is very necessary. Why? Because when we are performing the task of interview, directly we are getting the answer from the concerned topic or the concerned persons or the concerned objects. Fourth one is the questionnaires. Questionnaires are very important. Why? Because we have a predicted particular format of the questions, and with the particular format, we are getting answers from the concerned people. But it is directly and indirectly both. Schedules are also the method of collecting the primary data. So let us have a keen knowledge regarding these particular things. First one is the observation method. Observation method is a method under which data from the field is collected with the help of observation by the observer or by personally going to the field. Means what? When the observation method is going to be applied, the collected with the help of observation means what type of experiment, which type of research we are going to perform. Either it may be a scientific, additive, or something else, or social research. What type of research we are going to perform? We have a keen observation regarding the outcomes that is related with the research problem. So we have to identify those particular observations, which will be in the numerical form or non-numerical form. What are the steps of an effective observation? This is the key question regarding this. So determine what needs to be observed. Means first one, determine what needs to be observed. Means which type of requirements are there. We have to observe that, and afterwards select participants. Which participants are necessary to us for the observation. For example, as you have known, when we are performing some scientific research, donkey, monkey, some type of peoples which are going to donate their lives, we are going to select certain participants, and that will be like corona. Some guys are working as a social welfare. So when the medicine is going tested, when the vaccine is being tested, it will be tested directly on that particular person. So that, and when the age limit also there, above 60, above 40, children are there. Vaccines are also coming likewise. So we have to select the participants and observe the results. Conduct the observations means venue, duration, recording materials, take photographs of the particular observations that is coming as a result, compile the data collected, and analyze and interpret data collected. Means once the data is coming as an output, as an outcome of the particular research problem, we have to analyze and interpret the data. Once we are going to analyze the data, then definitely interpretation is necessary, whether it is useful or unuseful to us. Which data we have to take with us and which data we are going to drop. Why? Because data is not concerned with us. So we have to analyze and interpret the data that is coming from the observations. So types of observation methods are there. One is the structured observation. Structured observation means when the observation is characterized by a careful definition of the units to be observed, means it is predefined. The style of recording the observed information, standardized conditions of observations, and the selection of related data of observation. Second one is unstructured observation. Unstructured means not defined. When it takes place without the above characteristics, then it is unstructured observations. Third one is the participant observation. When the observer is member of the group, there happens when the observer is not member of the particular group. But in participant observations, the observer is the member of the group which he is observing, then it is a participant observation. For example, if any vaccine is being tested, then and I am a researcher, I am the observer, then I have also participated in that particular test. the vaccine is injected on my body, and what will be the result outcome that will be finding out, and that will be observed by me. This is the participant observation. Fourth one is the non-participant observation, means when the observer is not the member of the group which he is observing, then it is a non-participant observation. Uncontrolled observations. This is very less usable. Why? Because when the observation takes place in natural conditions, that is, some conditions are there which is not favorable to the particular researcher, then that will be not natural conditions. That is uncontrolled observations. It is done to get spontaneous picture of life and person. Suppose we are going to test some nuclear weapons, and nuclear weapons are damaging so much lives and so much surroundings. So what we have to do? It is uncontrolled observation, because we are not going to control the reaction. We are not going to control the outputs of the particular nuclear fissure. So this is the uncontrolled observation. Controlled observations. When observation takes place according to pre-arranged plans, means what we are expecting, the results are coming like that. This is the controlled observation. With experimental procedures, then it is controlled observation, generally done in laboratory under controlled conditions. Advantages of observation method. Some advantages are: produces large quantities of data. All data obtained from observations are usable. The observation techniques can be stopped or begun at any time, and relatively inexpensive. These are the advantages of observation method. Some disadvantages of observation method, as we all know, anything is having positive aspect, then definitely it will have some drawback also. So disadvantages of observation methods are: interviewing selected subjects may provide more information economically than waiting for the spontaneous occurrence of the situation. Extensive training is needed, and limited information is available. So one of the widely used research designed to collect data. The second one is a survey method. Survey means collecting the data, approaching in the society, approaching in the mass, so that a particular result is coming, and we are asking some questions directly or by observation we are getting. Means which type of things we are going to observe. The whole thing is coming under the survey scenario. So a researcher can collect information either by observation or either by asking. So when we are observing, that will be discussed as earlier. But when we are asking, means asking in the form of asking orally, asking with some email, asking with some particular formats, asking by telephone, asking through some internet medias. So this will be a survey. For example, social sites are there, and if any type of suppose, as we all know, Instagram is the current thing which is now we all are here, and Elon Musk is going to be very popular regarding this Twitter. So what happens? Instagram, what type of things, what type of actions they are going to perform? They are just keeping a survey whether I'm means Donald Trump is the former president of America, whether we are going to activate the account or not. So he is asking with the help of we say that he or she is conducting a survey, and survey is very much necessary for collecting the primary data. Survey method. A survey is a technique of gathering information by questioning those individuals who are the object of the research belonging to a representative sample through standardized or questioning procedure with the aim of studying the relationship among the or collecting information that probably describe the full population. There may be different ways to conduct surveys, means how we are going to conduct surveys. Nowadays, technical aspects are with us, but three major aspects are there. First one is a telephonic survey, which we can do with our telephones, landlines, or smart gadgets. Second one is the personal, that the person is approaching in home and collecting the data, or some computer assistant personal interviews are there, and the records are mentioned in the notebooks, palm tops, etc. And third one is the electronic gadgets we are going to use. These are through emails and internet media, social sites like this. So third one for collecting the primary data is the interview method. It is very important. Why? Because as a picture shows, some interview persons and some are interviewee. And the interview method of collecting data involves presentation of oral verbal stimuli and reply in terms of oral verbal responses. You are asking the questions, and the person concerned, which is interviewed by you, are giving oral answers regarding your questions, and the responses are being noted by you, and you are going to judge the responses, and just likewise you are going to make the data which is of in use for your research problem, where the questions are asked personally directly to the respondent. And the third point is the interviewer asks questions to respondent which are aimed to get information required for study. Suppose when interview method is there, you ask some questions and the person which is interview are not giving us you answer. Then definitely you ask which type of methodology you need, whether you are getting my problems or not, whether you are getting my questions or not, and afterwards they are answered. So this is the interview method. Means if the person are responding you, then it's okay. If not responding you, you have to go through the level extent of the particular interview and collect the information. Why? Because the data which they give is useful to us, and for that particular reason, you have to do anything. Steps for an effective interview. What are the various steps for interview? Prepare interview schedule. You have to prepare a schedule for the interview. You have to mention your time, your date, and particular what are the goals which are you have considering for your research problem. What are the particular areas through which we are going to point out the questions regarding your interview. So this is the preparation of the interview schedule. Select subjects oblique key respondents. You have to find out the subjects and the respondents which are responsible for your answer for the concern your research problem. Conduct the interview and analyze and interpret data collected from the interview. This is the major thing. Why? Because once the respondent is answering your questions, you have to analyze and interpret the data. Why? Because the data analysis is very important. The data which you are collecting from the primary data sources, that will be recorded in the table, in the chart, in some databases which you are concerning, which you are using, or in some paper work you are going to find out the answer of the respondents. So you have to analyze and interpret. And the interpretation is not currently, but after few days you are going to interpret and correlate the data, and how you are going to make your data relevant to the particular problem, how that answers are coming from the respondents are favorable for your research questions, you have to interpret. Types of interview methods. First one is the structured interviews. In this case, a set of pre-decided questions are there, and means the structure of the interview methodology is already decided. A set of pre-decided questions are there. You have to ask to the respondents. Second one is unstructured interviews. In this case, you don't follow a system of predetermined questions. Whatever, for example, when any news channels are coming up to you and the editor wants to ask you questions, they are not actually structured. What is in their mind, they are going to ask you. You have to answer. So this is unstructured interview. Focused group interview. Focused group interview means it is unstructured and free flowing. Focus group has one moderator. Moderator maintains control and focuses discussion. It involves at least of 6 to 10 people. And group interview starts with broad topics and focuses on some specific issues. Some specific issues are there. Means in media also you have seen that some group of peoples they are just gathered together and they are debating each other for some natural cause, some good cause for regarding the country, regarding something else. So this is the focused group interview. Clinical interview. For scientific research, it is used. Information is generated and utilized at every step this process, including the activities of investigation, observation, monitoring, diagnosis, planning, treatment, and review. Nowadays, clinical interviews are very much popular and very much common. Why? Because each and every type of problem that is arising surrounding to us, they are having some type of clinical results. And for that particular testing, you have to particular record their plans, orders, procedures, observations, test results, opinions, and discussions. Fifth one is the group interview. It is done in a group of 6 to 8 individual persons as interview. Qualitative and quantitative interviews are there, individual interviews are there, and selection interviews are there. These are some methodologies of interview. Some advantages of interview method is there. More information at the greater depth can be obtained. Resistance may be overcome by a skilled interviewer. Personal information can be obtained with the help of this interview method. Some disadvantages are also findings. It is an expensive method. It means uh, what resources you have to use to going to a particular person, to going to a particular domain, your approach. The cost is going to calculate it, and at least possible is there. It must be expensive. Interviewer bias, respondent bias, and time consuming. These are the some disadvantages of interview. The fourth one is the questionnaire. Last day, you all heard about regarding this questionnaire. The term questionnaire refers to an instrument for the collection of data, usually in written form, consisting of open or closed questions and other inquiries requiring response from subjects. A questionnaire is sent by post or by the mail to the persons concerned with the request to answer the questions and return the questionnaire. You have to make a printed document for the questionnaire. You have to select the particular questions, and you just distribute the questionnaires to the particular group of people. They are answering the particular questions asked by you, and they will just submitting you. So these are the some methodologies of questionnaire. A questionnaire consists of a number of questions printed in a definite order on a form. What are the steps for an effective questionnaire? Prepare questions means formulate, choose types of questions, order them, write instructions, make copies like this. Select your respondents. You have to select your respondents, either it may be randomly selected or incidentally selected. Administer the questionnaires means date, venue, time. You have to manage all these things. Tabulate data collected means you have to record the data in the form of some tables and analyze and interpret the data collection. Once you have collected the data, the last one is the analyzing and repeating the data. This is very important. Why? Because the results what comes from your methodology of this research collecting the primary data, you have to do analysis for that, and you have to interpret that whether it will be favorable to you or not. If it is favorable, then it's okay. If it is not favorable, then you have to work out how that unconditional things are coming in the favorable part. Types of questionnaire methods. Open-ended questions. This gives the respondent the ability to respond in their own words. Second one is the close-ended or fixed alternative questions. This allows the respondents to choose one of the given alternatives. Types, dichotomous questions and multiple questions. Essentials of good questionnaire. Means what are the essential qualities of a good questionnaire? Should be short and simple. Follow a sequence of questions from easy to difficult one. You have to sort easy to difficult one so that it must be necessary to answer them. And the particular respondent will easier find out some easier points if the easier question is coming first. Technical terms should be avoided, should provide adequate spaces for answers in the questionnaire. Directions regarding filling of questionnaire should be given physical appearance, variety of paper, color, like that, and sequence must be clear so that it must be useful to them. Advantages of questionnaire methods are low cost even when the universe is large and is widespread, free from interview bias. Respondents have adequate time to think through the answers. Respondents who are not easily approachable can also be reached conveniently. Large samples can be used. Some disadvantages of this questionnaire are time consuming, definitely it is time consuming. The respondents need to be educated and cooperative. Definitely it is also a drawback. The respondent must be educated so that if it is educated, then only they are going to answer your questions. This method is slow, possibility of unclear replies. If they blank, if they are not answering your questions, blank, they are going to submit. This is also a type of problem. So these are some disadvantages of questionnaire. Fifth one is the schedule. Primary data collection. The fifth methodology is schedule. With the help of the schedule, we are going to collect our data. Very similar to questionnaire method. The schedule is very similar to the questionnaire method, but how it is different? The main difference is that a schedule is filled by the enumerator, who is specially appointed for the purpose. Enumerator is nothing but it's the person. In the picture itself, you have seen that a lady is standing and in front of that a person is asking some question. So the person is the enumerator, means who is directly involved and asking some questions, and just and the response, what are the responses that is coming that will be figured by the particular enumerator. Enumerator goes to the respondent, asks them the questions from the questionnaire in order listed, and records the responses in the spaces provided. Enumerator must be trained and in administering the schedule. enumerator must be trained. Even some problems are there, like some language problems are there. If we are going to consider a survey or some asking some questions regarding the schedules, and the language is also a problem. Some people are not knowing English, some people are knowing English. In regional languages, if the questions are there and the particular respondents are not understanding the particular language, it is also a type of problem. So it must be, the innovator must be trained. This is the basic difference, some points of difference between questionnaire and schedule. Questionnaire generally sent to through mail and no further assistance from the sender. Schedule is filled by the innovator directly or research worker. Questionnaire is cheaper method, costly, requires field workers. Questionnaire is non-response is high, schedule no means the response is very much high. Why? Because we are directly dealing with the respondent. So this is the basic difference between the questionnaire and the schedule. After primary data collection, now we are switching towards the secondary data collection for the research problem. Data gathered and recorded by someone else. The basic thing is in the secondary data, the data is gathered and recorded by someone else, not directly. Secondary data is data that has been collected for another purposes. It involves less cost, time, and effort. Secondary data is data that is being reused, usually in a different context. For example, data from a book. You are reading a particular paragraph from a research journal, and if that will be useful for us, you are going to consider them as a data. So this type of thing is the secondary data collections. Secondary data can be an immediate and cost-effective means to gaining valuable insight into research issues, provided that the information comes from reliable and timely sources. So this is very necessary that we have to find out the sources of secondary data collections, and this will be categorized into two parts: internal sources of data collection and external sources of data collection of secondary data. So what are internal sources of this data collection? Internal sources of secondary data are usually for marketing applications. When we are doing research for some marketing applications, means whether Windows 10 is useful for which type of people, whether Linux is useful for which type of people. So we are having a marketing application, then only we are using the internal sources. This concern is the sales record, marketing activity, cost information, distributor report and feedback, and the customer feedback. These are some extra internal sources from where we are collecting the data as secondary data. Now, the point comes is the external sources of secondary data. What are the various external sources that from where we are going to get the data? These are the journals. From journals, we are going to collect some external data. From books, magazines are there. From magazines, we are going to collect our data. Newspapers are there. Very important newspaper. Newspaper is providing various types of pictorial data and pointed data which are useful to us, and we are going to collect from them. Earlier, what happens, we have to go to the library, and in that particular library, so many books are there, so many newspapers are there, magazines are there, and we have again go through for that particular things, and what things are in concern to our research problem we are noted, and afterwards that will be used by us in our research solution formation. So the internet also one media for collecting the external sources. So secondary data sources are nothing but other sources of secondary data collections are publications of central, state, and local government. Various publications are there. For example, gadgets are there. You have heard about gadgets. That will be a source of secondary data collections that is already implemented by the government, and which we are using for our concerned things. Technical and trade journals are there, book magazines are there, newspapers are there, reports and publication of industry, banks, stock, exchange, etc. are there. Reports by research scholars are there, universities are there, economists are there, public records are there. These are the some sources of secondary data. What are the factors to be considered before using secondary data? Means what are the key factors of this considering of the secondary data? Is first one is the reliability of the data. Who, when, which methods, at what time, etc. must be investigated first for the reliability of the data. Why? Because when the data is reliable for your answering your research problem, then it will be useful to you. Second one is the suitability of data, whether the data is suitable to you, suitable for your concerned research topic. Object, scope, and nature of the original inquiry should be studied, as if the study was with different objective, then that data is not suitable for your current study. Adequacy of data level of accuracy, area differences, then data is not adequate for study. So selection of proper method for collection of the data. What are the methodologies which we are going to use for selecting the particular collection of data? First one is the nature, scope, and object of inquiry. Second one is the availability of funds. Third one is the time factor. Time factor is very necessary. Why? Because when we are going to find out the solution for a research problem, when we are acquiring some data, when we are having some research outcome, the time factor is a major issue. When you have done your experiment timely, that measures are very useful to us. And if it is not being timely, that will be not useful for us. So time factor is the key responsible. Accuracy required is there. Definitely accuracy required is very useful. Advantages of secondary data method, I am going to leave this. Why? Because data analysis is the next thing. Time is passing now. Data analysis in qualitative research. When we are collecting the data, now the part coming is the analysis part, and how we are going to analyze it, and how we are interpreting the particular data analysis. The quality data is made up of words, descriptions, images, objects, and sometimes symbols. There are several ways to find patterns in the textual information. A word-based method is the most relied and widely used global techniques for research and data analysis. So these are the methods of qualitative research. So content analysis is one thing. What is content analysis? Why? Because what data we have recorded so far, and we are going to analyze and afterward interpret it, so that we are going to come to know whether it will be useful for our research program or not. So first one is the content analysis. It is widely accepted and the most frequently employed technique for data analysis in research methodology. It can be used to analyze the documented information from text, images, and sometimes from the physical items. It depends on the research questions to predict when and where to use this method. Second one is the narrative analysis. This narrative analysis is very important. Why? Because this method is used to analyze content gathered from various sources such as personal interviews, field observations, and surveys. The majority of times, stories or opinions shared by people are focused on finding answers to the research questions. And third one is the discourse analysis, similar to narrative analysis. Discourse analysis used to analyze interactions with people. Nevertheless, this particular method considers the social contents under which or within which the communication between the researcher and the respondents take place. Fourth one is the grounded theory. Grounded theory is very necessary. Why? Because when you want to explain why a particular phenomena happened, then using grounded theory for analyzing quality means when you are using some hypothesis for your research problems, you have formalized some objectives and you are working for some hypothesis. The grounded theory is very much useful. Data analysis in qualitative research, data preparation consists of following phases. Means when you are preparing the data for analysis, three phases are very necessary. First one is the data validation phase. Data validation is done to understand if the collected data sample is per the preset standards or it is biased data sample, again divided into four different stages. When you are validating the data, four stages comes to us. First one is the fraud. You have to ensure whether an actual human being records each response to the survey or the questionnaire. Second one is the screening. Screening is also necessary to make sure each participant or respondent is selected or chosen in compliance with the research criteria. Third one is the procedure to ensure ethical standards were maintained while collecting the data sample. And fourth one is the completeness to ensure that the respondent had answered all the questions in an online survey, as the interviewer had asked all the questions divided in a questionnaire. So these are the first phase of data collection. You have to ensure whether the data is not fraud, screening, procedure, and it will be completeness. Second phase is the data editing. Once you have validated your data, then now the data is being edited. This is very important. Why? More often an extensive research data sample comes loaded with errors. Some errors are finding out. The respondents sometimes fill in some fields incorrectly, or sometimes skip them accidentally, then there's the particular data editing is necessary. Data editing is a process wherein the researchers have to confirm that the provided data is free of such errors. Third phase is the data coding. Out of all the three, this is the most critical phase of data preparation associated with grouping and assigning values to the survey responses. If a survey is completed with a sample of 1000 sites, the researcher will create an age bracket to distinguish the respondents based on their age. So these are the three phases of this particular qualitative data analysis. Now the data analysis in quantitative research. In quantitative research means the data will be in numeric form. That will be in number, either in the form of temperature, either in the form of some scores, runs, age, heights, whatever it may be. So data preparation consists of the below phases. First one is the descriptive statistics. This method is used to describe the basic features of versatile types of data in research. It presents the data in such a meaningful way that pattern in the data starts making sense. Nevertheless, the descriptive analysis does not go beyond making conclusions. Second one is the measures of frequency. Measures of frequency, it concludes count, percent, frequency. It is used to denote whom often a particular event occurs. Next one is the measures of central tendency. Means when you are working with this quantitative research, statistics plays an important role. Mean, median, mode. These are the key factors. The method is widely used to demonstrate distribution by various points. Researchers use this method when they want to showcase the most commonly or averageably indicated person. Next one is the measures of dispersion or variation. Means when the data is recorded, then definitely it must have some variations that will be in the form of some range or a standard deviation. Here the field equals high oblique low. Variance standard deviation equal to difference between the observed score and the mean score. It is used to identify the spread of scores by stating intervals. Next one is the measure of position. What actual position the data is being useful to us for the research problem. This is the measure of the position, and it will be both in scientific and social research. Percentile ranks, quartile ranks, it relies on standardized scores, helping researchers to identify the relationship between the different scores. Methods used for data analysis in quantitative. After the data is prepared for analysis, researchers are open to use different research and data analysis methods to derive meaningful insights. First one is the descriptive statistics. Means the data is again classified into two groups. First one is the descriptive statistics, and the second one is the inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics involve to describe the basic features of versatile types of data in research. It presents the data in such a meaningful way that pattern in the data starts making senses. Nevertheless, the descriptive analysis does not go beyond making conclusions. Next one is the measures of frequency, and that is descriptive statistics. It count percent frequency. It is used to denote whom often a particular event scores occurs. Researchers use it when they want to showcase when a response is given. So this we have already discussed. Inferential statistics. Inferential statistics means inferential statistics also used for the some predictions about a larger population after research and data analysis of the representing populations collected samples. Here are two significant areas of inferential statistics in data analysis. First one is the estimating parameters. Very important thing is estimating parameters. Which parameters are useful to the research problem, which are not useful, the researcher must have to know. It takes statistics from the sample research data and demonstrates something about the population parameter. Second one is the hypothesis test. It's about sampling research data to answer the survey research questions. And as you all know, hypothesis is having plays an important role in the research problem for identifying solutions. So you have to make some hypothesis, which is your predictions regarding the research problem. And for example, researchers might be interested to understand if the new shade of lipsticks recently launched is good or not. Another one is the correlation. When researchers are not conducting experimental research, wherein the researchers are interested to understand the relationship between two or more variables, we have to correlate what are the various outcomes that is coming from the particular experiments. This is the method of correlation. And it is very important in the research problem. Means when you are analyzing, the correlation is playing an important role. Cross tabulation. also called contingency tables. Cross tabulation is also known as contingency tables. It is used to analyze the relationship between multiple variables. Suppose provided data has age and gender categories presented in rows and columns, means when you have to make a particular graph regarding the gender and the age, definitely such type of cross tabulation data are very necessary for analyzing the data. Regression analysis. For understanding the strong relationship between two variables, researchers do not look beyond the primary and commonly used regression analysis method, which is also a type of predictive analysis used. In this method, you have an essential factor called the dependent variables. You also have multiple independent variables in regression analysis. So, last 2 points is frequency table. This is also very useful at a time of analyzing the quantitative research. Why? Because the values are in the form of some figures. The statistical procedure is used for testing the degree to which two or more vary or differ in an experiment. A considerable degree of variations means research findings very significant. And last one is the analysis of variance. The statistical procedure is used for testing the degree to which two or more vary or differ in an experiment. A considerable degree of variation means research findings were very significant. So this is all about qualitative and quantitative types of methodologies for data analysis. So this is all about my data collection and data analysis. I hope you all can listen, and if any questions, please ask me. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Now, participants, if you want to ask any question,
Vivek?
ask. I think anyone no have any query. Uh, Thank you, sir, for coming in our FDP program as a resource person and giving us very informative lecture about data collection and analysis. Very thankful for wonderful presentation. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Vivek. Is there over? Is this over, Vivek?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, sir.
Vivek, and thank you, Dinesh sir, for giving me the opportunity.
Okay, welcome, sir.
Thank you. So I am leaving Vivek.
Yes, sir.
I am leaving Vivek because one program is there in university. I have to go there.
Okay, okay, sir.
Thank you so much, Vivek.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Vivek, sir.